Do you know the difference between dynamic and static stretching? If not, I'm glad you clicked on the video. Today we're talking about the difference between dynamic and static stretching. At the end of this video, we're going to go through a sample dynamic and static stretching routine that you can add to your workouts to make sure you stay flexible and injury free. But before we get into that, we have to talk about tensegrity. Tensegrity is basically describing your body as a system of bones and soft tissue, and your bones are supporting each other, but they're also suspended in the soft tissue. Whenever, for example, if your chest muscles, if your pectorals get really tight, your shoulders are going to be moving in forward and you're going to end up with a hunched over back. You're going to look like you're 90 whenever you're 50. That can also lead to a neck pain and shoulder pain and general dysfunction. Or if you notice you're having some posture issues where you're starting to lean over a little bit, we really want to stretch out the pectorals while we strengthen the back muscles to kind of open everything up and make sure that we keep a good posture. Your body is a system, and whenever one thing is not exactly right, then other things have to move around to compensate for that. And so we want to make sure that we don't have any muscle imbalances. All right, now that we've covered tensegrity, let's talk about muscle temperature. There's research that shows that with an increase of temperature, you increase your flexibility and range of motion. This is why a lot of personal trainers will recommend that you warm up prior to exercise. And this is really good advice. Whenever the muscle tissues are warm, they're primed up for activity, and you'll actually get better results. You'll feel a lot better, and you'll have a decreased risk of injury, and you'll just be more comfortable when you're exercising if you've warmed up. With that being said, how long do you need to warm up? What kind of things do you need to do? It really depends on you and some other factors. For example, I'm in South Texas. If I've been awake all day and I'm working out in my garage where there's no climate control, it may be 90 degrees outside during the summer. It may be 100 in my garage, and I have a little fan over in the corner. If I've been up all day, I've been moving around, it's 100 degrees in the garage, there's a good chance that my muscle temperature is already a lot higher than it would be if, say, I was working out at 5 a.m. I'm still in my garage in South Texas, but it's wintertime, maybe it's 50 degrees and I just woke up 5 minutes ago. Then in that scenario, I would need to warm up a lot more. Take all this with a grain of salt. Stretching is important. We need to do it. We need to warm up, all these things. You can apply it to your situation as appropriate. Let's get into dynamic stretching. So dynamic stretching is where we bring our muscles through their available range of motion quickly. An example of this could be something like what we would call a butt kick. If you're standing up, you're trying to kick yourself in the butt with your heel, you're flexing your knee quickly and you're stretching out the quad, but you're not holding it there as a traditional stretch. Another example of that could be a pendulum. As you kick your leg up, you're making sure you're not rounding your lower back, and as your leg comes up, you're stretching the hamstring through its available range of motion, making sure that everything is nice and primed up for whatever activity you're about to do next. So one of the main differences in dynamic stretching and static stretching has been shown to decrease performance. That's why a lot of times we want to use dynamic stretching before an activity and static stretching afterwards. Static stretching is where you're extending your muscle to the end of its available range and you're holding it there and you're adding some pressure to that area. So for example, a traditional static stretch that probably everyone is familiar with might be a standing hamstring stretch. A common mistake with this is that you see a rounded back. If you're really trying to focus on the hamstrings, you want to keep your lower back straight and tilt your pelvis forward until you feel a stretch. That is primarily focusing on the hamstring. Another common static stretch could be one where you see someone look like they're pushing on a wall. They got their legs out behind them. This is a very common calf stretch. Another common mistake people don't know is there's actually two calf muscles. One of them crosses the ankle and the knee. We want to keep the knee straight while we flex the ankle into dorsiflexion. And the other muscle only crosses the ankle joint. So whenever we stretch it, we want to bend the knee while we have the ankle in dorsiflexion. These are both examples of common static stretches. But what we're going to do now is just go through and show you my personal dynamic warm-up I do when I need to get warmed up. As you'll see from the footage, a warm-up and a dynamic stretching routine has a lot of overlap. You're moving quickly in both of them, whereas the static stretching looks very different. have a great one, and we'll see you guys on the next one.